Fall back. Medic. The command ripped through the canyon like shrapnel, but Aria Kane didn't move. Gunfire hammered the rocks, dust and sparks raining over Phantom Team 7 as they crouched behind broken concrete. Her brown hair, tied in a no-nonsense knot, clung with sweat against her temple. A heavy medical pack weighed on her shoulders as she knelt beside Sergeant Mason Grant, blood seeping fast through his torn sleeve. Aria's hands pressed gauze with surgical precision, blocking out the chaos. A round screamed past so close, it sliced a thread from her pack strap before burying into stone. Mason groaned. "Doc, leave me." But Aria's eyes lifted, and in that split second, something changed. The medic's calm became something else entirely. She had been deployed to Mission Ravenspire Canyon as nothing more than a combat medic, trailing 50 meters behind the assault group, 27 years old. 4 successful missions logged, 0 confirmed kills. Back at Iron Watch Outpost, most of the operators dismissed her as a background figure, the bandage carrier. Don't ever give her a rifle. Sergeant Rourke joked during briefings. She heals wounds. She doesn't win battles. Aria never answered. Instead, she stacked her instruments in perfect rows, logged each case in exact detail, and carried the weight of unspoken things in her silence. Her precision wasn't just medical. She could spot infections before they spread, notice a fracture before the bone gave way. Once, while removing shrapnel from Corporal Eli Torres's thigh, she had paused too long, frowning at the fragment's shape. "This isn't ordinary ammunition," she muttered. "It's precision milled. Someone out there is hunting us." Eli chuckled through the sting of antiseptic. "You sure know your bullets, Doc, but can you shoot them?" Aria's hands froze just for a heartbeat. Her reply came quiet. Almost to herself, "I know enough." What Phantom Team never realized was that at the bottom of Aria's medkit, hidden under layers of gauze, lay a relic, a brass casing, hollowed smooth by years of touch. It hung on a thin chain beneath her uniform, worn against her heartbeat, her breathing reminder. A keepsake from the one who had taught her that between heartbeats, time could slow, and impossible shots became inevitable. His name was Aria Kane, her brother, her shadow, her teacher, one of Europe's most decorated snipers, before she ever patched wounds. She had been his spotter in the frozen highlands of Dragor, learning how to read the wind like scripture, how to steady her lungs until the world went silent. "The rifle doesn't make you a sniper," Darius told her in their last training together. "It's knowing how to stop time when everyone else rushes forward." She had sworn never to touch a weapon again the day Darius died shielding civilians, buried her medals, erased her records, became only the healer, but in Ravenspire, with bullets carving the air and men bleeding at her knees. Aria's fingers brushed cold steel. The SR-21 rifle lay inches away, and in that moment, the medic's wall began to crack. Before we moved deeper into Ravenspire, a quick roll call. Soldiers, sound off in the comments where are you watching this from, and if you stand with stories of sacrifice and valor. Subscribe to the channel. Consider it your enlistment into our ranks. 3 years she buried the sniper. 3 years she swore the healer had won. But Ravenspire was about to wake what she'd tried to kill inside herself. At Iron Watch Outpost, Aria Kane was just the medic. She asked too many questions about bullet fragments. She sketched ballistic arcs in her downtime instead of playing cards with the others. What they didn't know after hours. When the compound went quiet, Aria sometimes slipped to the empty range. No live fire, just dry drills. Shouldering the rifle, steadying her breath, squeezing an empty trigger. A ritual to remind her body of movements she claimed she had forgotten. Beneath her uniform, resting warm against her pulse, the brass casing hung from a thin chain, etched into it, in script so small it needed magnification to read aim when your heartbeat is slowest. Her brother Darius's last lesson, the one truth she could never erase. The briefing sounded simple, Hostage extraction. Canyon under light resistance. Minimal sniper threat. That was the intel, and that intel was dead wrong. At dawn, Phantom Team 7 advanced into Ravenspire Canyon, Captain Halden at the lead, Sergeant Rourke on flank, Aria trailing 50 meters behind. Her role clear: stay back, patch the wounded, evacuate if things collapsed. The first shot shattered the illusion. Sergeant Mason Grant dropped instantly, his shoulder spilling crimson. Aria sprinted to him before the echo had even finished bouncing across the canyon walls. "Medic, fall back!" Halden's order cracked through comms, but she was already sliding over rubble. Gauze pressed hard against Grant's wound, bullets whining so close she could feel their heat. One tore a scar into the wall beside her. Another chipped stone where her head had been seconds before. These weren't panicked sprays. They were surgical. They were hunting her. Her mind, sharper than she wanted to admit, dissected the sounds as if she were back in Dragor Highlands with Darius. Subsonic rounds, suppressed weapon, roughly 900 meters, elevated angle northeast ridge. She shouted over the comm: "Sniper northeast ridge, 900 out." Rourke scanned through his glass. Negative. Doc, no eyes, but Aria saw what they couldn't: the way the bullet strikes nudged the team left, then forward, herding them into a choke point. This wasn't harassment fire. It was steering fire. In less than 30 seconds, Phantom Team would be exposed in a perfect kill funnel. Grant gripped her sleeve, his face drained of blood. "Doc, you've got to get out of here." A third round struck, blasting stone fragments across her cheek. This time, she caught it: the faint glint of muzzle flash behind the twisted wreck of a radio tower. And with that glint came a deeper horror: not one sniper, not even two, 3, working in sync. Grant's SR-21 rifle lay in the dirt beside him, its black steel whispering like a ghost from her past. Her hand hovered over it, trembling. "I swore I'd never." Another shot hit. Sergeant Eli Torres spun, blood streaking his side. Time slowed. Her medic's oath screamed, "Go to him, heal him." But her brother's voice cut sharper: "If you don't act now, everyone dies." Her fingers closed around the rifle stock. The weight was dreadful and familiar. Left hand braced, right hand high, cheek to cold steel. The world shrank into crosshairs and breath. In, hold, out, hold. Stillness found her, and with it, her hunter's eyes opened again. One breath, one heartbeat, one shot, and the medic became something else entirely. Through the scope, Aria Kane tracked faint movement near the shattered radio tower. Range 947 meters, wind slight left cross, elevation 12 degrees. Her finger tightened. The rifle jolted against her shoulder. 800 meters away, the first sniper crumpled into dust. Aria shifted instantly, recalculating her next line. Their formation snapped into focus in her mind: a diamond set. Overlapping kill zones. Classic doctrine meant to trap and bleed. The spotter lifted binoculars, unaware his seconds were numbered. Crack. He fell, lenses slipping from his lifeless grip. The third tried to break position, scrambling sideways. Aria led her shot by 3 meters. Another crack, another silence. The canyon held its breath. "Jesus Christ," Captain Halden muttered through static. 3 targets, in minutes. Aria lowered the SR-21, her hands trembling as the rush ebbed. For a moment, she looked almost afraid of herself. Mason Grant stared at her, torn between awe and unease. "Where the hell did you learn to shoot like that nearby?" Eli Torres groaned through bloodied lips. Aria snapped back into medic mode, sliding to his side, threading needle and suture with precision. "My brother taught me," she murmured. "Some wounds can't be patched with medicine." Rourke crouched near, eyes narrowing. That last shot ricocheted off a steel beam to nail him behind cover. "That's not chance." Aria's voice was low. "Darius drilled me on ricochet fire in Dragor. Angles, surfaces, wind. Steel and stone can bend a bullet's path if you understand the math." beneath her uniform. Her fingers brushed the brass casing at her throat. Aim when your heartbeat is slowest. Her brother's voice was back, as if he stood beside her. When the bleeding slowed and the wounded were stable, Aria looked down at her own hands. Minutes ago, they had been tools of healing. Now, they were weapons of precision, and they had switched without hesitation. The wall she had built between medic and marksman, 3 years of silence, of denial, collapsed under the roar of 3 bullets. Mason pushed himself upright. Wincing, "Doc, I need to know. Before today, when's the last time you even fired a rifle?" She paused, then whispered, 3 years, 2 months, 16 days. Bullshit. Mason muttered. Nobody holds accuracy like that without practice. Aria met his gaze, calm, but troubled. Some skills don't fade. They wait, buried, until the moment someone you love is about to die. The mission pressed on, but something had shifted forever. The team no longer saw her as just the medic, and Aria wasn't sure she could see herself the same way either. Inside her medkit, in the final hidden compartment, rested Darius's cloth, embroidered with his last words. Aim when your heartbeat is slowest. The snipers were gone, but the battle wasn't finished. As the team regrouped under cover, Rourke pulled her aside. "I need the truth. Kane, those weren't lucky shots. That was professional sniping. Who are you, really?" Aria sat on a broken slab of concrete, the rifle across her lap. She finally let the secret surface. "Before medicine, I was with European Special Operations. My brother was lead. I was his spotter." She brushed the brass casing at her throat, voice barely audible. "We weren't just soldiers. We were a team. He made shots that defied physics, and he taught me everything." Her gaze hardened, and, for the first time, Phantom Team realized the medic in their ranks was far more than she seemed. 17 kills, 1 collapse, 1 promise she swore would never be broken. Her voice dropped into something raw. Darius cut down 17 militants that day, 17 men who thought they were untouchable. The SEAL-inspired unit listened in silence as Aria's eyes went distant, locked on a memory. He cleared a path so the rescue team could get the children out. 8 years old, maybe younger, but when the RPG struck, the rooftop gave way. I watched the greatest sniper I've ever known my brother die saving kids he'd never even met. The canyon wind carried her words like ashes. Phantom Team 7 said nothing. There was nothing to say. After the funeral, I erased everything. Aria continued, requested my sniper record sealed, classified under operational loss, burned my medals, swore never again to take a life. I enrolled in medical school that same month. From then on, I would only save Eli Torres. Pale but alive. Rasped, but you didn't lose the skills. Aria nodded once. You can't erase what's carved into your soul. Every gunshot wound I treated, I could name the caliber, the range, the angle, my surgical precision. It came from years behind the scope. I just convinced myself I'd never use it again. Mason Grant, wincing from his wound, asked what weighed on all of them. So what changed today? Her eyes swept the team, bleeding, exhausted, but alive. You did. When Torres went down. When I realized you'd all die because of my oath. I understood sometimes. To save lives, you have to take them. Aria pulled a weathered journal from her kit, its pages dense with scrawled diagrams, equations, and fragments of steel taped beside notes. I've been tracking sniper fire for weeks. Every fragment I pulled from our wounded told a story. These weren't stray rounds. They were crafted. Professional, foreign mercenaries. Maybe. Rourke flipped through the pages, his expression hardening. This is intel work. Why didn't you report it? Because I'm a medic, Aria said flatly. At least, that's what I told myself. But Darius always said, knowing your enemy is the first step to beating him. She rose. brushing dust from her uniform. Her voice sharpened. Those 3 weren't random shooters. They were part of something bigger. Contract killers. High-value targets were their game. From her kit, she unwrapped a bundle and advanced scope mount. Unmistakably military grade. I dug this out of a wound 2 weeks ago. The soldier was SAS. This doesn't come from black market dealers. Someone with money and reach put them here. Her hand spread across a map of Ravenspire Canyon, lined with angles and red arcs. I've mapped every sniper field from each casualty, if I'm right. Their command post sits 3 clicks north. They're being guided by someone who knows our playbook. Rourke's jaw clenched. How long have you been working this since the 2nd casualty? Aria admitted. I thought maybe I could solve it with records. With analysis. I never thought I'd touch a rifle again. Mason exhaled. Well, I'm damn glad you did. But if there's a command post, this is just the beginning. As if on cue, the radio cracked alive massive enemy forces converging on Ravenspire. The mission had shifted. This was no longer extraction. It was survival. Rourke turned to her, voice low. Urgent. Kane, I know you swore off killing, but we need that sniper covering the extraction. Without you, we're slaughtered. Her fingers brushed the brass casing at her throat. Darius's last words burned in her ears. Every bullet carries a purpose. Some wound, some kill, but the most important save lives. She looked at the men around her. Soldiers she had patched, bled with, carried on stretchers. They weren't comrades anymore. They were family. Aria picked up the SR-21 again, sliding into position on the ridge. Today, she whispered. My bullets protect my family. The radio hissed reinforcements 6 minutes out. Aria adjusted her scope, the world narrowing into crosshairs. She exhaled. After this, I'm not just Aria the medic. Her eyes hardened, voice steady. I'm Aria Kane, and some people only understand one language. Engines roared through Ravenspire, 6 minutes to survive. And Aria Kane was done choosing between healer and hunter. She locked into her position, cheek welded to the SR-21's cold steel. Her oath to heal and her oath to protect 2 promises that had warred inside her finally merged into one truth. Sometimes saving lives required precise violence. The brass casing at her throat burned warm against her skin, pulsing with her slowed breath. The extraction stretched into 4 brutal hours. Every bullet counted, every heartbeat measured. She fired 37 rounds, 33 struck true. The rest scattered enemies into retreat, and from that moment on, no coalition lives were lost when it ended. She cleaned her rifle, restocked her medkit, and filed her reports as usual. 1 new line appeared at the bottom: threat assessment and neutralization completed as required. Phantom Team couldn't stop whispering. The silent medic who had become a ghost sniper in the space of heartbeats, her name spread like wildfire. Aria tried to return to routine health checks, supplies, stitches, but nothing was the same. Soldiers approached her now with awe or gratitude. Some asked about her methods. Others just whispered thank you. She brushed it off with the same words: I did what was necessary. One morning, Eli Torres stepped into her tent, a wooden box in his hands. The team wanted you to have this. Inside lay 4 brass casings, each engraved with a single word: medic, sniper, protector, sister. Aria picked up the one etched with sister. Why, Sister Torres's voice softened. Because that's what you are now. Not just the medic, not just the sniper who came out of nowhere. Our family, and family takes care of its own. Mason Grant appeared in the doorway, his arm in a sling but his grin intact. Command confirmed your intel. Kane, the post was right where you said. They're even talking about recognition, maybe cross-training you into counter-sniper ops. She shook her head. I'm not interested in being a sniper again. What happened was necessary. It doesn't define me. Grant's voice softened. You saved 30 lives. Aria, not just with medicine, but with precision fire. That's who you are, someone who saves however she must. That night, Aria sat alone at the range, not to fire, but to think. She arranged a small memorial Darius's photo, the original casing he had given her, and the 4 new ones from Phantom Team. She lifted the casing engraved sister and slid it onto the chain with Darius's original. 2 pieces of brass, 2 halves of her soul, finally joined. "Now I go back to being a medic," she whispered. "But if my soldiers are threatened, I'll be whatever they need me to be." On the wall nearby, scrawled in permanent marker by some nameless hand, "Sometimes the one who saves lives is also the one who removes the threat." Aria once believed burying her sniper past was the only way to heal, but Ravenspire proved healing and fighting were never opposites. They were the same promise. The casings on her chain told that truth, 1 for sacrifice, 4 for family. She was not just medic or sniper. She was both. Because to protect the living, sometimes you must also end the threat.